The television was invented in 1927 by Taylor Farnsworth. It was initially regarded as a fad that would die out, but now Americans watch an average of 1,768 hours of TV per year. The car radio was invented in 1929 by Paul Gavin and became a standard in the Motorola 5T71 by 1930. The jet engine was created by co-inventors Dr. Hans von Ohain and Sir Frank Whittle in 1937. They were English and German engineers, but their designs quickly became standard amongst American aircraft. On September 14, 1939, the VS-300, the world's first practical helicopter, took flight. It was designed by Igor Sigorsky and built by the Vought-Sigorsky Aircraft Division, a sect of the United Aircraft Division. The science behind the color television was developed in 1940 by Peter Goldmark. The first set was sold in 1954, and the color transition of 1965 resulted in mass production of color TVs. Computers run by software were designed in 1940 by Konrad Zuse and became the precursor to modern computers. The electric digital computer, also known as the Atanasoff Berry computer, was operational by 1942 and born from the minds of John Vincent Atanasoff and Clifford Berry. Much controversy surrounds this invention, such as inventor credit and the computer's priority in history. While aforementioned jet engines had already been invented, Hungarian inventor Grigori Jendicic sired the first turboprop engine in 1942. The first atomic bomb was dropped in Hiroshima, Japan, August 1945. It was known as the Manhattan Project and was led by Robert Oppenheimer, costing nearly $2 billion.
It took about 45 seconds from the time the bomb left the airplane until it exploded. And I think there wasn't a man in the airplane that wasn't either timing it with his watch or counting or doing something. I was sure the bomb was a dud. I was sure it wasn't going to work.
After falling for 43 seconds, the time and barometric triggers started the firing mechanism. A uranium bullet fired down a barrel into a uranium target. Together, they started a nuclear chain reaction. Solid matter began to come apart, releasing untold quantities of energy.
The microwave oven was derived in 1946, developed by Percy Spitzer using radar technology from World War II. The first mobile phone was created in 1947 by Reginald Fessender. The invention of the device was in fact the easy part. Connecting them to a public telephone network and organizing companies around them proved more tricky. The first VCR was created and produced in 1971 by the Victor Company of Japan, selling for nearly $300 American. The birth of the hydrogen bomb took place in 1952 by Edward Teller. The energy created and released by these devastating weapons is primarily composed of the nuclear fusion of hydrogen isotopes.
Minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T-0.
The design of the modern hovercraft can largely trace its lineage back to the original inventor Christopher Crockwell, who conceived the air-cushioned vehicle, or ACV, in 1956. The co-invention credit of creating the modern computer is given to Jack Kilby and Robert Moyse with their unveiling of integrated circuits in 1958. Although the conception of devices similar to pacemakers had existed for nearly a century, Wilson Graythach was the first to successfully implant a functional model in patient Arne Larsen in 1958. The first VCR was created and produced in 1971 by the Victor Company of Japan, selling for nearly $300 American. Compact discs, or CDs, were created in 1965 by James Russell as a more mobile form of listening. After years of successful development, Billy Joel's album 52nd Street was the first released on CD to the public. After a transition that took nearly 4,000 years, mankind had developed the abacus, mechanical calculators, and eventually handheld electronic calculators, the first being the Caltech prototype created by Texas Instruments in 1967.
The inside was filled with this metal things, and the major interesting parts were these two wheels, one of which is a horizontal wheel and the other is a vertical. If you move sideways, it's one wheel does the rolling and the other does the sliding.
The computer mouse, a now standard accessory with desktops, was invented in 1968 by Douglas Engelbart.
The mouse we know today rolls on a ball that turns two slotted wheels mounted at right angles. As the wheels turn, light shines through the slots and produces an electric signal that tells the computer the cursor's new horizontal and vertical coordinates.
RAM, or random access memory, is a form of computer storage memory that allows information to be saved on computers, conceived by Robert Dennard in 1968. In contrast to RAM, the floppy disk was created in 1970 by Alan Stewart with the intended purpose of storing and transporting electronic information. Technological innovations over the past decades have led to Intel's 4004, the first commercial microprocessor co-created by Fagan, Hoff, and Mazur in 1971. In 1976, the inkjet printer, the offspring to the laser printer created a year prior, was introduced to the masses by Siemens.
In 1984, the first Macintosh, or Mac, was introduced, and it was the first mass-market personal computer that incorporated both a graphical user interface and a mouse.
A garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of a contradictory thoughts. Unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
In 1989, the Motorola Microtac 9800X was developed, and it was the first portable phone as opposed to the car phone which preceded it. In 1981, the IBM PC was created by the IBM Entry Systems Division headed by Don Estridge. This product influenced the standardization of the platform for personal computers. In 1992, Intel produced a series of microprocessors branded with the name Pentium. These processors had features such as lower clock frequency and also hyperthreading. In 1975, the Cray 1, a supercomputer, was designed and manufactured by Cray Research, a company established by Seymour Cray. The design functioned off of integrated circuits and had 1 million words of main memory. In 1989, Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web, which consists of interlinked hypertext documents that are accessed through the internet.